I believe they need help, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have an awareness, you know, much more in tune to it, and the courage to talk about it is kind of rare too, at least in this forum and stuff. It's amazing to me. So you had, even in your manic state, the highest state, you had an awareness that it wasn't true happiness, even though euphoric to you is a signal that something's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
And actually, the first time when I was 22, I was feeling the euphoria. I went to the hospital to get help. I spent the whole day at the hospital. They kept shuffling me around, and at the end of the day, they said, "You're fine." Yeah. You know, so that made me think, hey, well, I'm fine. I must be special. I must be godlike. You know what I mean? Because I'm fine, and here I am, high as a kite. You know, I'm fine. Yeah. You know, so I said, that's when I said, I'm Jesus Christ. You know, and I was just sick. Yeah. You know,
it is amazing. So there was no relief, at least initially. You were calling out for help, or at least trying to find answers,
and
being told that you were fine.
And what happened was I wound up in prison. Yeah. You know, because this con man that knew me made up some story that things I tried to do to him in this stage. You know what I mean? And he got me arrested and put in jail. And I got beat up in prison. Wow. And I wound up getting overdosed with medicine, and that's when I had that catatonic reaction. Okay. That's where the catatonic comes from.
Yeah, I just need to say there's a CD of
that was from that experience, a catatonic reaction.
And I didn't make the connection. I mean, I did kind of make the connection because I know the meaning of the word, but little did I know that it came from an experience that unfortunate.
That's what they shot needles in me, and they actually knocked me into a coma. Wow. And they thought I was dead, so they got me to the hospital and they pumped me full of these drugs, and I had an allergic reaction, to make a long story short. But I wound up being paralyzed for months, and that was awful. Yeah.
So you were, not to point any fingers, I guess, but there again, it illustrates the main point that it's very, very easy, either willingly or unwillingly, to be deceived by what you were going through, therefore reacting in a way that took you on a path almost to physical death, actually. Yeah. Too.
And I'm sure a lot of people wind up dead, you know. Yeah. And but I want to get back on more positive notes.
Absolutely.
Quickly, you know what I mean?
I'm hesitant to interrupt you at all to ask a question.
I spent 20 years driving buses, driving coaches into Logan, and I controlled this illness. I did it with a doctor, getting the right meds, and staying on top of my game, as far as coaching and bus driving goes, I believe I was Larry Bird at the three-point line, There
you go.
And there's no problem with that. I had a safety record that would match, the best of them in the Upper Valley anyway. And no, I don't think any employer would dispute that. And I really had a good time, and I found a place where I was comfortable, that I could make money. I always wanted to be a jazz star, you know what I mean? I always wanted to be music. My dad told me, you're not going to make a living at music, just do it for fun, But I kept trying harder to make it for music, but I found another comfort zone for me, and that was driving buses and coaches, and I was lucky that way.
So the responsibility you felt for passengers and equipment and all that stuff gave you a focus that...
I was a real pro. I would have laid down my life to save somebody in a storm or whatever without a second thought about it.
Yeah, and I believe you. Yeah.
And because I took it serious. That was my business. I took it real serious. Yeah. And I drove in snowstorms where I could see, and an inch in front of the bus with the snow. And I'll tell you how I knew where I was going. I don't know if you believe this or not, but the ruts on the road told me where the road was.
Yeah.
Those ruts that they have, I could hear them.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only way I knew. Otherwise, I couldn't see the, you know, and I just listened to the ruts, because that's what a lot of people don't do with driving. You got to use all your senses.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Your eyes, your ears are very important.
Yep.
You're talking on a phone, you're listening to music, you're taking away one sense that is really important, because you can hear the cars going by, you know, or what, and you can hear trucks, and you know if it's a big vehicle or small vehicle. There's a lot you can tell by audio that a lot of people just assume they don't need, you know, if they're on the phone or they're listening to music really loud, you know.
Yeah, you make an excellent point, because I think in this day and age, maybe in particular, more lately, we as individuals do tend to try to do whatever we're trying to do with the least amount of senses engaged, whereas you really learned that driving a bus or driving in general should have all your senses engaged. Yes.
I actually felt like I had a feel for where the bus was. When I had a feel for the rear, and a sense of where I had a sense of how high it was and everything. So, you know, that's how I kept such a perfect safety record, you know.
It's not unlike, I drove race cars, and I don't need to bring this in, but there's a real, real focus of senses driving race cars.
Yeah.
It would be similar to driving a vehicle where you were responsible for human lives, or lives in general, and equipment too. And I can understand totally where you might have felt like you were part of the vehicle, as opposed to just being remote, you know, stuck on the steering wheel. I
felt like, as they say in that movie, White Man Can't Jump. I'm in the zone. That's the way I felt. I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm driving, and you know.
And you could maintain that for as long as the trip took. Like to Logan and back from here might take 3 to 4 hours total. So, and you would stay focused.
To Logan and back it was a 10-hour gig.
Oh, because of stops.
Yeah, stops, baggage loading, tickets.
So more than a full work day. Concentration.
Oh yeah.
And so you obviously have the ability to focus.
Right.
And can you talk about the frustration of